Hello again, 8th grade. Welcome to video number 2 for the day. So today in this video, or I don't know why I said today, but in this video specifically, we're going to be going over your other assignment for today. And by other, I mean your first assignment was to watch the lecture video and take notes. And this is your actual written assignment for the day. So let's go check it out. So if you click on the link on grade link to Walter Mitty Dreams versus the Reality Google Doc, that will bring up the following here. So what you need to do first before you do anything else is this should be second nature to you guys by now with how many times you've had to do this, but you'll follow these directions right here, and I've got them written out for you. So you're going to click File, scroll down here to make a copy. You will hit that there. You will then delete where it says copy of Walter Mitty and put your own last name here. So for example, if Elijah was doing this, he would write Hawkins right here and then, leave it at that. Okay. I'm not actually going to finish this because that'll open something else, but that's all you have to do is just erase copy of Walter Mitty and put your last name right there. Okay. Then if you click OK here, that will then bring up something else. That will open a new tab, which you'll be working on. And then you will need to go over here and click the share button. And then you will need to type in a marshrca@gmail.com. And then just click the send button immediately when you do that. Go ahead and do all of this right there. Don't wait until the end of everything and send it to me so I can have it and that I can see that you're working on it from there. And that way I'll be able to grade it. All right. Then when you're done with that, you'll take all of this and you can just erase it and go from there. But I'm going to leave it there for your own benefit. So what you're doing today is you are going to go back and kind of like look back over the story and try to come up with some better reasons for why Walter's doing what he's doing. Now, as you learned in the lecture, Walter is doing these things and having these dreams as a form of escaping, which ultimately ends with him taking the initiative to be more confident, maybe, or to at least just show that my dreams are a part of who I am. But there's specific reasons for each dream in particular. Yes, the reason is that he wishes he could be more confident. But what's something more specific? How can we specify that with each of these? And so basically what you're going to do is you are going to provide a brief summary of each of Walter's daydreams. So he has 5, okay, with the Navy officer, the surgeon, the courtroom interrogation, the British pilot, and the firing squad that he deals with. And you are just briefly going to summarize what happens in each daydream. After that, you are going to say, you're going to answer these questions. What is actually happening in the real world that inspires Walter's daydream? What sparks his imagination? Okay, because each of these are inspired by something specific. As I said with the surgeon one, it has to do with his wife begging him to wear his gloves to drive in, and then he sees himself as the surgeon wearing the actual gloves. That's what you'll put there. And then in this possible reason, um, why do you think Walter is having this particular daydream? What does this dream specifically reveal about him? And I'll go ahead and add that word in there because that's important because, of course, generally all of these dreams are revealing that he wishes he could be a more confident person and he wishes that he could fight against the world that, thinks of him as weird or labels him as inscrutable, someone who can't be understood because he's always lost in his head. We get that, but we can take this deeper and analyze this character a bit further. If you guys learned anything from our study of Ruby Holler, you have learned how to analyze characters and take what they're actually or what the author is actually giving you and then come up with a greater understanding of the character. Um, Dallas was definitely a dreamer. Florida had dreams too, but Dallas was definitely more of the dreamer. But Florida had the greater, more intense imagination. And so, even though those things would seem related, that revealed deeper aspects of their character, and we got that from them. Um, just as the whole block of wood that Tiller and Sari kept on their dresser revealed a lot about their marriage and how, committed they were to each other. And we got that from a block of wood. So you guys can do this too. But let's take a look at this first one because it is a little different and that should serve as a model for what we're going to be doing. So after I do this for you, you'll only have to do this 4 more times. So provide a brief summary of each of Walter's daydreams. Explain what is happening in the daydream. So if we pop over to the text of Walter Mitty, as it says here, we get this right here. So We see that we start off, "We're going through." The commander's voice was like thin ice breaking. He wore his full dress uniform with the heavily braided white cap pulled down rakishly over one cold gray eye. That's a pretty incredible character description. We can't make it, sir. It's spoiling for a hurricane, if you ask me. I'm not asking you, Lieutenant Berg, said the commander. Throw on power lights. Rev her up to 8,500. We're going through. The pounding of the cylinders increased. Tapaka, pocket, 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 pocket. The commander stared at the ice forming on the pilot window. He walked over and twisted a roll of complicated dials. Switch on number 8 auxiliary, he shouted. Switch on number 8 auxiliary, repeated Lieutenant Berg. Full strength and number 3 turret. Turret, shouted the commander. Full strength and number 3 turret. The crew, bending to their various tasks in the huge, hurtling 8-engine Navy hydroplane, looked at each other and grinned. The old man will get us through, they said to one another. The old man ain't afraid of hell. Not so fast. You're driving too fast, said Mrs. Mitty. What are you driving so fast for? Said Walter Mitty. He looked at his wife in the seat beside him with shocked astonishment. She seemed grossly unfamiliar, like a strange woman who had yelled at him in the crowd. You were up to 55, she said. You know I don't like to go more than 40. You were up to 55. Walter Mitty drove on toward Waterbury in silence, the roaring of the SN-202 through the worst storm in the 20 years of the Navy flying, fading in the remote, intimate airways of his mind. You're tensed up again, said Mrs. Minnie. It's one of your days. I wish you'd let Dr. Renshaw look you over. So that's the first fantasy. So it's rather obvious that Walter himself is the commander in this thing because naturally Walter would imagine himself to be the most important character, and with the commander taking precedence, we can see that Walter is thinking that he is the commander within this. Now, the other fantasies are a little bit easier to pinpoint who he is because he's himself just in a different role, but here it's not as clear, and so we're just basing that on like what we understand about literature, and the commander's the main character, so the commander has to be Walter. Okay. So in this summary, we could write something that says Walter imagines himself as a naval commander. He shouts and gives direct orders to pilot the ship out of a dangerous storm. Okay. And that's ultimately what's happening. That's all you have to do. Just give a brief, 2-3 sentence description of what is actually happening within the story. You don't have to be super specific. That's just all you have to do there. Now, what is actually happening in the real world that inspires Walter's daydream? What sparks his imagination? Well, what's he doing? He's driving through a really terrible storm in which there's a torrential downpour, and his wife's like, will you slow down because you're driving too fast? And just as he is piloting the Navy ship and trying to make it go fast, he's also doing that to his car. So we could say something like, Walter is actually driving his car through through rain, possibly a storm. So we could just say he's driving his car through the rain, and he is driving faster than he should. Okay. Now, why do you think Walter is having this particular daydream? What does this dream specifically reveal about himself? So he's a commander in this. He's piloting his own ship. He's giving the directions on how he wants his ship to be piloted. If he's driving a car, and that's the reason for how he's doing this, maybe this is revealing that Walter wishes that he could just drive his car without his wife being a backseat driver, or in this case, a passenger seat driver. Maybe it's as simple as that. So that's what I would write here. I would write that Walter's daydream reveals that he would rather drive his car how he wanted to rather than have his wife act as a back seat driver. Okay. So really, that's all you have to do here. Give some specific reason for why he's doing that. Okay. Now, I've already given you the bit here in the lecture video for the number 2 for the surgeon, so that should be pretty easy to come up with. So please note that you do not have to cite any actual textual evidence to answer these questions. I just want you to go back over the story, look at those fantasy moments, and just, summarize what the dream is actually about, explain what inspires the dream or what's actually going on in the real world to, act alongside the dream. And then for the possible reason, what's a specific reason for why you think he's having that dream? And keep in mind, it's not because he wishes. I mean, it is because he wishes so that he could be a more confident person who's going against the world because the whole world's against him. But what's a more specific reason? In this one, he wishes that his wife would just get off his back and stop being a nag, and so that he could drive his car without, hearing all of this stuff from his wife about, "You're going too fast. Like, go under, you're going 55. You need to be doing 40," or something like that, whatever she says in the story. So ultimately, that's all you have to do there. This should be fairly straightforward and a fairly simple assignment, but if you do have any questions, just let me know. I'm really interested to see what you guys come up with in this third column specifically, and just make sure that you try to specify as much as possible to what is actually going on within the dream and the reality and what that might be revealing uh, about Walter's character himself. So yeah, so I'll leave you guys to that. Should be fairly straightforward. If you got any questions, just send me a text and I'll try to respond, or a message over Hangouts, and I'll try to respond to it as quick as possible. But I'll turn you guys loose, and you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday.